All right, let's just jump right in. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're embarking on a journey into the absolute unknown. We're always looking up at the stars, talking about space as the final frontier, right? But the crazy truth is, we have a literal alien world right here on Earth, completely hidden beneath miles of crushing darkness. So let's uncover some of the most bizarre and profound mysteries hiding in the deep sea.
And this mystery really kicks off back in 1997. That year, a highly unusual, ultra-low frequency sound just erupted from the deep ocean. This wasn't some tiny blip either. This sound was so incredibly powerful that it was picked up by a sensor a massive 1,000 kilometers away. Scientists were, frankly, totally baffled, because based on all our research, there's literally no known creature in the ocean physically capable of making a sound at that frequency. It really begs the question, are there things down there, lurking in the abyss, that are maybe 100 times larger than a human?
Which brings us right to that blurry line between myth and reality. If you ever open Google Maps and zoom way in on the South Atlantic Ocean, people have actually spotted anomalies that look a whole lot like ancient sea monsters. We've all heard the ancient stories of the Leviathan, right? This colossal, ancient monster hiding in the depths. But here's the actual terrifying reality check. Even today, with all of our advanced technology, we've explored maybe 5% of the deep sea. A staggering 95% of our oceans are completely unexplored. So could these mythical creatures actually be swimming around in that unknown 95%?
Now, what actually happens when things from those unknown depths decide to come up? Well, take a look at the oarfish. This is just a bizarre deep-sea creature that literally generates its own electricity. But its reputation is what's really wild. People call it the doomsday fish. See, these guys live so incredibly deep that they can actually sense shifts in the Earth's crust. Just days before the catastrophic 2011 earthquake and tsunami in Japan, oarfish were suddenly washing ashore. We saw the exact same warning in California, and incredibly, just recently in February 2025 down in Mexico, someone caught an oarfish on video desperately trying to escape the ocean right before another major quake hit.
So you might be thinking, why don't we just go down there and see what they're running from? Well, let me put this into perspective for you. Imagine grabbing Mount Everest, the tallest peak on Earth, and dropping it straight into the deepest part of the ocean. Do you think the tip would poke out above the water? Nope, not even close. Let's go a step further. What if you took the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building humans have ever built, flipped it completely upside down, and stacked it right on top of Mount Everest? Even with that massive tower stacked on top of the world's tallest mountain, you still wouldn't hit the bottom of the ocean.
To really wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this, we need to travel down through 5 very distinct zones. We're going to take a literal descent right now, starting from the sunlit surface and plunging 11,000 meters straight down into the abyss. So, brace yourselves.
Okay, we're starting at Zone 1, the sunlight zone. This goes from the surface down to about 200 meters. This is the ocean you're probably used to seeing. Sunlight easily cuts through the water here, so aquatic plants and familiar predators like sharks are everywhere. But what's really fascinating is that this zone actually acts as a midnight feeding ground. Deep-sea creatures will swim all the way up here at night to hunt for smaller fish and then dart back down into the darkness as soon as the sun comes up. Plunging a bit deeper, we hit Zone 2, the twilight zone, which stretches from 200 to 1,000 meters down. The light is fading super fast here, meaning plants literally cannot survive anymore, but massive creatures do. This is where you'll find the sperm whale, an absolute giant that weighs in at an unbelievable 5,000 kilograms. And fun fact, it actually has the largest brain of any creature on the planet. But the Twilight Zone also hides some pretty terrifying stuff. We've got the colossal squid down here. This thing weighs as much as a car and has the largest eyes in the animal kingdom. We are talking literally the size of dinner plates. And then there are the siphonosaurs. These aren't even single animals. They're massive colonies of tiny organisms that link together to form a living, moving ribbon. How big are we talking? Well, some of these biological ribbons are longer than 3 blue whales put together. It's just wild.
Moving on, things get genuinely dark as we enter Zone 3, the midnight zone, sitting between 1,000 and 4,000 meters. All sunlight is completely gone now. Because there's practically no energy down here, everything has to move incredibly slowly, just to conserve power. This zone is a pitch-black graveyard. It's actually where the wreckage of the Titanic is resting right now.
Down in this darkness, survival comes down to one terrifying number, 380.
In the midnight zone, the physical pressure of the water above you is 380 times greater than what you feel up on the surface. If an unprotected human were to somehow end up in this zone, that immense pressure would just instantly crush human bones.
Yet, somehow, life does survive here. But the adaptations aren't honestly grotesque. Take the anglerfish with that creepy glowing head it uses to lure prey into the dark. And get this, the males actually bite into the females and fuse their bodies together, living out their entire lives permanently attached. Then you have the barrel-eye fish. It has a completely transparent head, and its eyes can rotate a full 360 degrees inside its skull. And the black swallower? Exactly what it sounds like. It has this highly expandable stomach that lets it swallow prey 3 to 4 times its own size. The catch? Sometimes it swallows something so big it literally can't digest it, which causes a fatal rupture. Nature is brutal, right?
Going even deeper, we hit Zone 4, the Abyss Zone, between 4,000 and 6,000 meters. We honestly know very little about the creatures down here because it's just this barren, alien landscape. But we have spotted a few survivors, like the Dumbo octopus. It has these bizarre, super large flaps that look exactly like elephant ears, but they're actually modified fins that it flaps to navigate through the freezing black water. But the abyss isn't just dark, it is loaded with geographic death traps. First off, you've got brine pools. These are literal underwater lakes made of extremely salty, highly toxic water. If a creature accidentally swims into one of these pools, it's instant death. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you've got hydrothermal vents. These are underwater volcanoes just blasting out water that is heated to a scorching 400 degrees Celsius. And finally, we arrive at the absolute bottom. Zone 5, the trenches. Dropping from 6,000 down to a mind-bending 11,000 meters. The environment down here is so extreme, so unbelievably harsh, that the conditions just completely defy human imagination.
If you want to understand the trenches, just picture this number, 1,800. If you were standing at the bottom of the trenches, the physical weight of the water pressing down on your body would be exactly equal to having 1,800 fully grown elephants stacked directly on top of you. It is a crushing, almost inconceivable amount of weight.
So, how on earth does anything survive the weight of 1,800 elephants? Well, let me introduce you to the snailfish. The name of the game here is extreme adaptation. The snailfish manages to survive this environment by just ditching its skeleton entirely. It doesn't have any bones to be pulverized. Instead, it just navigates the deepest, most dangerous parts of our world as a completely gelatinous survivor. Which brings us right back to our big question. With all our modern tech, rovers on Mars, all of it, why is 95% of the ocean still a total mystery? Well, scientists face 3 massive hurdles that make exploration nearly impossible. Number 1, extreme pressure. Number 2, highly dynamic environments. And number 3, the threat of unknown creatures. Let's break these down real quick. Let's start with extreme pressure. You guys probably remember the really tragic Ocean Gate submarine incident back in 2023, where a tourist sub heading down to the Titanic lost signal and imploded. The science behind what happened there is just devastating. See, the sub's hull was constructed from carbon fiber, but the joints were made of titanium. When they were subjected to the crushing pressure of the deep sea, those two materials, carbon fiber and titanium, actually expanded and compressed at different rates. This unequal expansion caused a microscopic crack, and in the deep sea, a microcrack is all it takes to trigger a complete, fatal implosion in literally milliseconds. Okay, the second hurdle is the completely unpredictable environment. The deep sea isn't just some big, static swimming pool. Ocean currents can shift violently without warning. Temperatures wildly fluctuate. And remember those underwater volcanoes we talked about? They actually warp and alter local magnetic fields. So if you're piloting a high-tech submarine down there, your navigation systems can get entirely scrambled, instantly leaving you totally blind and lost in the absolute dark. And then there's the third hurdle, unknown creatures. Now science tells us that life on Earth actually kicked off deep in the ocean. When the early Earth rained for centuries, oceans formed. Then deep-sea volcanoes released crucial minerals into that water. Over time, those minerals formed the very first cells, which eventually sparked all biological life. Because the origin of life itself springs from these deep-sea vents, it is entirely possible, and a lot of scientists actually believe this, that massive, completely unimaginable creatures still exist down there, born from that exact same primordial soup. Which leads us to a pretty troubling reality. If these creatures have been down there for millions of years, why are they coming to the surface more and more frequently now? Well, as we touched on with the oarfish, one reason is completely natural. They are trying to escape violent earthquakes and tectonic shifts. But the second reason? That one is on us. It's human interference. We are actively driving these things to the surface.
Massive human pollution is steadily depleting the oxygen levels in the ocean's water, essentially suffocating these deep zones. On top of that, we've started engaging in deep-sea mining. The incredibly intense sounds and the constant heavy vibrations from these mining operations are severely traumatizing these highly sensitive deep-sea ecosystems. We are literally forcing life upward just to survive.
And that leaves us with one critical, undeniable takeaway for today. All life on this planet originated from the ocean. Our Earth's survival is intimately, completely tied to the health of the sea. If we keep pushing the deep sea to the brink, if the deep sea dies, can humanity actually survive? It's something to think about the next time you look out at the water. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and remember to always keep questioning the unknown.